In this video, I'm going to be building the best possible value team right now in NBA 2K23 Myteam. If you guys don't know what I mean by value, it's for how much MT a card goes for and how well they do play in game. So a perfect example that I always mention is Amen Thompson is one of the best value cards in my team because he's only about 20,000 MT on the auction house, maybe even a lot cheaper with those new Season 7 super packs that dropped today. But then you compare him to a card like Kobe Bryant, right? That goes for 2, 3, 400,000 MT, right? Even a point guard like LaMelo Ball or these other top tier point guards, not saying LaMelo, Kobe, or these other point guards are bad, but they go for crazy amounts of MT compared to Amen Thompson, who I think is personally better than those point guards and also a ton cheaper. So I'll kind of be basing it off that. There'll be some kind of like budget value cards, some mid-level guys, and then obviously some expensive, value cards that are really expensive but are worth that price tag. So Amen Thompson gonna be our starting point guard. He's 6'7" at the 1, 7-foot wingspan. He's such a good all-around card. Like, I've gone over this card like probably 1,000 times because he's in like every single video because he's honestly that good. I'm super high on Amen Thompson. I think he's so amazing at point guard. Great jump shot, really good dribble sigs, perfect defensive tendencies, and perfect dunk packages. Like, for a budget point guard, you can't get really much better than Amen Thompson. So for his price tag, gonna be our starting point guard. And then next to Amen Thompson, I think the really good duo in the starting backcourt is gonna be Tracy McGrady and Amen Thompson, because you got both very solid defenders but can score the ball at a super high level. You got a 6'8" shooting guard in T-Mac, 7'2" wingspan, solid all-around stats and badges. But the main thing about T-Mac comes down to his jump shot being one of the easier jump shots to green in my opinion, with the KPJ base Oscar Robertson upper on quick timing, and this card just moves differently in game. If you guys have used the Radiant T-Mac, I know he dropped a ton, he dropped a while ago. February 24th is now what, like 3 or 4 months ago, and he's still a top tier shooting guard, and he's actually kind of cheap, only about like 70k I believe, 70 to 80,000 MT, somewhere in that price range, and he's going to be so good for that price. For the starting small forward, this is easily going to be the most expensive card in this squad, and it might sound crazy at first, but it's actually going to be this endgame Paolo Banchero. Now, before you say like, how is he a value card, he's expensive, let me quickly explain something. So if we go onto the auction house, I'm looking at the auction house right now, and Paolo Banchero is ending for under 150,000 MT when I'm recording this video, and that's right after these super packs drop. So yes, he's going to be a lot cheaper when I'm looking at the auction house, just because I'm looking at it right when those super packs dropped, and he's going to be going down a ton in price. But let's say you can get this card for under 175, right? If you can get him for under 175,000 MT, he is still a top 3 to 5 small forward in the game, and that's not bad for his price. 6'10" at small forward, 7-foot wingspan. Even if you can get him for under 200k, this card is still so amazing at the small forward position. He's an endgame 99 every single stat, 64 Hall of Fame badges, perfect defensive tendencies, perfect animations. Like, you can't get really much better than Paolo Banchero, for his height and his player model. Yes, the invincible Victor Wembanyama is better, Bull's better, maybe even Chet's better, but those cards are still so expensive on the auction house. So to get a card that can compete against the top tier small forwards for under 200k, and I've seen him sometimes end as low as like 150 or 175, I think he's actually going to be a really good value card in the game. Like I said, there was going to be some expensive cards in this squad, and Paolo Banchero definitely is expensive, but I think deserves to be in this squad. At the starting power forward position is not going to be the invincible Victor, because he's obviously way too expensive. It's actually going to be the next Victor Wembanyama, who is still so good for his price tag. He's 7'5" at that power forward position, 8-foot wingspan. Victor still got one of the best player models in the game, a capable jump shot, really good dribble sigs for a 7'5" power forward card. Yes, he's not on the same level as his invincible, but he's still so good for his price of actually being a buy now. And I believe he's only like 90,000 MT, which is kind of crazy for Victor. Once again, I'm sure he'll drop a ton in price with those new super packs dropping, probably as low as like 75 to 80k. So for that price tag, gonna be one of the best value bigs in my team. And then to round out the best value starting lineup, I think you go Yao Ming. He's just so good at center. Now his Galaxy version kind of hovers around the 100,000 MT range, I think right now he's a little bit over 100k. I think he's like 110 or 125, but even if you can get this card for under 150k, that is such good value for Galaxy Opal Yao Ming, a 7'6" center card, 7'9" wingspan. We know he's still got one of the better player models in the game. He can mash down low, he can guard most other centers. Actually, he can guard every other center, and he just plays so well in game. So yeah, that's going to be the starting lineup for the best value team. And then now coming off the bench, I mean, you can make an argument our bench is just as good or even better than our starting lineup. You got Luka Doncic here as our backup point guard, really good offensively. I would say the best offensive point guard in my team, and he's like hovering around that 100,000 MT mark. I haven't seen him for a buy now yet, but I've seen a lot end for like 125, 150 or below. So you can easily get this card for under 150k. And yes, he's not on, or he is on Amen Thompson's level, but that's why Amen Thompson is starting, because I think Amen is slightly better at the point guard position, and he's also like 100,000 MT cheaper. So that's why he's going to be starting over Luka. But Luka is still a really good offensive point guard. You know, really good jump shot for Luka, great dribble sigs, and all around is just still a top tier point guard. For the backup shooting guard position is going to be a lot of offense. We got Tim Thomas, you know, both cards from the interdimensional set in our backcourt, and Tim Thomas is actually going to be cheaper than Luka Doncic, which is kind of crazy for a 6'10" shooting guard, 7'2" wingspan. He's only going, I'm looking at the auction house as I'm recording this so I can get you guys the accurate prices, you know, when I'm recording the videos. And there's one up for 90,000 and a couple up for 100,000 MT on Xbox. So he's about like 90 to 100k, which is still amazing value for Tim Thomas, a guy that moves really well in game. For somebody 6'10", he moves so quick on the court. He's got such a fast jump shot, really good dunk packages. He can do everything on the offensive end and still be a solid defender because of his height and his player model as well. But we definitely need more defense, you know, at our small forward position. So that's why I think Kevin Garnett is the perfect small forward to pair alongside Tim Thomas and Luka Doncic, because with KG, you get a card that's only about 60k, maybe 70,000 MT. He's 6'11" at small forward, 7'2" wingspan. He's got that size, that player model. He's an elite level defender, still has a good enough jump shot and solid dribble sigs where he can score the ball if he has to. He's not an absolute liability on offense, and I feel like he's going to be our perfect backup small forward next to Tim Thomas and Luka Doncic. And then for the backup front court, I mean, it's honestly just as good as our starting lineup, which is going to be Taco Fall and Mark Eden. I mean, those two cards definitely compare to Victor Wembanyama and Yao Ming, and Mark Eden's only about 40 to 50k, and Taco Fall's about 100, 110, maybe 125 at most. And we know Taco Fall is still amazing at power forward, 7'6" at that power forward position, 8'2" wingspan, still one of the tallest power forwards in the game, super dominant at that 4. And then you got Mark Eden, who's able to guard cards like Yao Ming, cards like Manute Bol, Taco Fall, Victor Wembanyama. He's able to guard them because of his size, his player model. He's 7'4" with a 7'7" wingspan, but he plays more like 7'5" or 7'6" just because of how big and wide his player model is. Such a good paint defender and fairly quick for a giant card with 85 speed, 85 acceleration. And then I also wanted to throw some cards here in the last 3 spots. I wanted to put cards like Kristaps Porzingis, because he's still a really good stretch floor 4. So if you want a little bit more offense, a guy that can space out the floor a little bit more, he's still a great big for only about like 70k. And then I also wanted to include cards like AK-47, a really good defensive shooting guard in case you want a little bit more defense on the lineup, and he's a lot cheaper, only about 20k. And then Big Z, I still feel like is one of the best value cards in my team because he's a 7'3" small forward and can play shooting guard. So just opens up the possibilities to running so many different lineups in the game and just having mismatches on offense. So in my opinion, guys, this is going to be the best value team in my team. But let me know in the comment section down below what you guys would change about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.